Okay, perfect. Thank you all for joining me this evening. This space tonight is for me to share my experience with you and also give you a little bit of information on a product that you've all expressed interest about to me. So, firstly, I'd love to know. Let me have a little feel into it. So firstly, my name is Marja, and I have a partner and a 4-year-old son. We live in Valor on the mid-north coast. I used to live in Sydney and Bondi, and then we moved to the Blue Mountains. And health has always been something that's been at the forefront of mine and my family's lives. We met as yoga teachers. We're all about food as medicine. We live on a syntropic farm where we have an acre of food forest. So our son growing up knowing where food comes from and growing up with nutrient rich food and food as medicine has been something that has been really, really important to us. And for me, I found Kangen Water. I found ionized water 6 years ago. And a friend of mine, Hayden, who's actually my mentor now, introduced me to it 6 years ago. And I was yoga teaching. I was living on my own. I was single. I didn't have any children. I was living in Clovelly. And he used to come to my house and he used to bring water to me. And it was back then when no one had even heard of Kangen. He tasted the water, and he was someone who I always looked up to. He was always into adaptogens, and he always knew what the next thing was that would help people improve their health. So I knew that he was onto something. So he used to drop the water to me at my home, and I would drink it. And for me, I'm a Reiki master teacher, a yoga teacher. I work a lot with energy, and I could never drink tap water. Like, I used to drink it and I would automatically just want to throw up. Like, I was like, it felt really heavy. It tasted really metallic. And so for me, I spent many, many years not drinking water. I would drink coconut water. I would drink tea. I would put juice in my tea to kind of mask the taste of water. But when I drank this water, I tasted this water from Hayden. I was like, okay, I can drink this. Like, this is great. I can drink it. But back then I was in the headspace. I wasn't in the headspace that I'm in now, and health wasn't as, I didn't have any children. So this was a big thing for me personally. When I had my son Kai and I was watching and seeing how little water he was drinking, it put a mirror to my face, and I was like, if he's not drinking enough water, I'm not drinking enough water. And so very quickly I reached out to Hayden recently, about four months ago, and I said, tell me more about Kangen. And as soon as we got it into our home, I drink gallons of this water every day. My family drinks gallons of this water every day. My son loves it. And since I had Kai, I've had this headache at the front of my head, and I just looked at it and just felt that's just motherhood. It's just what being a parent is. Like, you're just tired all the time and you have headaches all the time. But then when I started drinking Kangen water, the headache went away and my tiredness has gone. And we live on a farm. Like, we're physical. We get up and we're digging before breakfast, and we're harvesting our food, and we're planting our food. So we're living very physical lives where hydration is really, really important. So I cannot recommend this product more. And this is why I'm here doing what I'm doing tonight, and why I've chosen to be on this path. Because for me, food as medicine and water as medicine is something, the food as medicine, people have kind of caught onto, and people are kind of getting understanding whole foods. You want to learn where your foods come from. You want to eat organic where you can. And people are starting to add things like adaptogens and stuff like that to their diets. But the water as medicine is something that people are, it's a little bit of a slower kind of journey. So Ah, the water as medicine is a movement that is in its trajectory. It's like it's shifted gear now in the world, because whether you're drinking town water or whether you're drinking rainwater, whether you're I believe there's someone on here that actually has their own well, which is amazing. And filtration is really important, but the next step after filtration is so we filter the water to get rid of all the particles and all of the nasties and stuff like that. But the next step after filtration is we're left with water that is neutral. So the intention with water is it's either detrimental for you, it's either neutral, or it's beneficial. And a lot of people at the moment who are drinking tap water and who are drinking bottled water, the water that they're drinking is more on the detrimental side. And there's a few reasons why that is. People who are stepping into the filtration and learning that, okay, I know tap water is not good. I know bottled water is not good, but what is it? Like, what do I drink? What do I do? And a lot of people are getting filtration systems for their home, which is awesome. And there's a lot of stuff out there on the market. But a reason why I've chosen this water is the ionization and the alkalization through the ionization, which I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to run you through a little slideshow just to give you an idea of what it is I'm talking about. I'm just trying to feel into if there's anything else I need to share with you. It'll come up. So let me share my screen, figure out how to do this. Technology. Okay. There she goes. All right, cool. All right. So we're here. Hang on, go away. There we go. So electrolyzed reduced water. That is the water that comes out of our Kangen water ionizers. And I'm going to go into the actual process with you as to how this happens shortly. But if you Google electrolyzed reduced water, you're going to find heaps of scientific studies on it. And the main component, the main part of electrolyzed reduced water is hydrogen. So I'm going to be getting into that in a moment. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is blue zones. So there are what is known around the world as blue zones. So they're natural springs, and a lot of people know them as miracle waters. And you can see the five main spots where you'll find these miracle waters around the world. So these miracle waters and these blue zones, people have been reporting these healing properties in the water. And scientists actually in the 1960s, they went to these miracle waters and did these experiments. And the conclusions they came to were this water had two components. The two main components they had was the water was alkaline and it had active hydrogen. And active hydrogen looks like kind of fizz, like it's like bubbly in the water. It's almost like a gray kind of fizz. So they were the two components that scientists found in these blue zones of the natural springs and the miracle waters. In the 1970s, scientists from Japan created the first water ionizer, but they were only available in hospitals in Japan because the machine in the ionization process splits the water into negatively charged and positively charged water. And the hospitals were using this water for antibacterial properties. So they were using it to clean and sterilize a lot of things. But then Enagic 20 years ago created their water ionizer, combined it with electrolysis, and they made it available to the public. So the Kangen water machines that I've got and that I'm talking about tonight mimic this water. So this is how the water alkalizes through the ionization. So the water comes in through a filter, a standard filter, like most people will have. They'll say, I've got a water filter. This is the K8s have a water filter inbuilt into it. So the water passes through the water filter, clears out all the particles, and then it moves through the electrolysis enhancer, and then it moves through, there's only 7 plates here, but there are 8 titanium coated platinum plates in the K8. So what happens is the water runs through these 8 plates, and it splits the water, as I mentioned before, into negatively charged, which is alkaline, and positively charged, which is acidic water. You can use both waters for different things in your home. I use the acidic water. If my son falls over and cuts his knee, I use the acidic water to clean his knee. I also use it to wash dishes. Plants love it. And the positively charged water is what you drink. So this very simple process of the water running through and splitting is what makes the water alkaline and acidic. And there are different ways to alkaline water, especially bottled water. Some alkaline water companies, bottled water companies, put things like sodium carbonate in their water to alkaline their water. So the other way that you can make alkaline water is by adding an ingredient to it. But how these machines do it is they do it through electric change by splitting the water in 2. So there's nothing being added to the water. It's merely separating the water and keeping the good mineral-rich, oxygen-rich, alkaline, ORP negative water, which is what we ingest, and releasing all the oxygen-depleted, acidic water, ORP positive that we don't want in our body. And the next thing I want to talk about is oxidative stress, which is something my mind was kind of like, whoa. And this is the reason why I want to share this, because I think it's important. If something really hits you, you share that, and hopefully that message is relayed out. So oxidative stress is things that we encounter every day. EMF is a massive one, huge. Air conditioning, pollution, all the foods that we eat from supermarkets that have no nutritional value at all in them, tap water, technology, all of that stuff is things that actually reduce the quality of our cells. And they're a big reason why when people age, you start to get achy and you start to get tired and you start to get sore. A lot of people think it's just old age, the same way that I just thought I was tired and I had a headache from being a mum. Like, it was actually this quality of being super dehydrated and not addressing the oxidative stress that's going on in our bodies. And when you think of oxidative stress, the one thing that combats oxidative stress is antioxidants. And we hear a lot about antioxidants. We hear wheatgrass has antioxidants, berries have antioxidants, lots of superfoods have antioxidants. But the one most powerful and potent thing, like, you forget about all the other things that have antioxidants, hydrogen. Hydrogen is the most powerful antioxidant on the planet. But the issue that people have is, well, how do I consume hydrogen? Like, how do I consume that on a regular basis? How do I consume regular large amounts of hydrogen? And you do that through electrolyzed reduced water. That's what it does. That's the main component that it creates, is hydrogen rich water, because water is hydrogen and oxygen. It's meant to be hydrogen and oxygen. So this is one of the reasons why I believe, and from my experience and the studies that I've done, is why this water does what the blue zone water does. It hydrates you beyond belief. My 4-year-old son, had a UTI, and I was like beside myself, and everyone was like, give him unsweetened cranberry, do all this stuff. And I flushed him with our water, and in 2 days it cleared up, and I took those little urine dipstick tests and it was gone. And I'm not saying that this water is miraculous and it's going to heal everybody, but I'm saying that this water, if I'm going to be drinking any water, if my son's going to be drinking any water, this is the best water. Anyone who is on the path of water as medicine is going to land where I've landed. I wholeheartedly believe that. So as we come into the most potent and powerful form of hydrogen on the planet, being electrolyzed reduced water, we land with these machines that have been around for 50 years. Enagic has been around for 50 years. The machines were invented by a doctor, Dr. Hiroshi. And in Japan, these machines, well, in the world, these machines are considered medical devices. And Japan is the hardest country to patent a medical device. It has to go through stages and stages and layers and layers and layers of tests, and it has to go through loads of different patents, and it has to go through all of these processes to get approved. So the fact that this was made in Japan for me is just like no brainer. What else? Let me move on to this. So we come to, I like to keep things like really clean and clear and transparent for everybody. So these are the K8 Kangen Water machines, and these are all of the other bottled water. We've got Mount Franklin, Pump, Fiji, Evian. We have these big plastic tubs. I went to drop some water to a mum that lives around the corner from me, and bless her, I saw she drinks all these big ones here, and they were just sitting in the sun, and it was a really hot day, and I was like, oh my God, but she's on the right path, so it's all good. And then we did a little breakdown, and this is Australian water, this is the Aussie breakdown of how much a 15-year cost in total would be if you're consuming 6 glasses of water a day, or 6 bottles of water a day, or however much, 6 to 8 bottles a day. This is the cost breakdown for 15 years for the Kangen Water ionizers, which comes in at $5,907 if you want to pay it outright. Otherwise, it's $44 a week for a little over 2 years. And that's what I've done. If you break down the bottled water, you can go as high as $300,000 over 15 years, as low as $100,000. But in my opinion, when it comes down to tap water and bottled water, if you can look at this as an investment for yourself and your family, and you have these machines that have very little maintenance, and the upkeep per year I think is just under $200 a year when you buy the citric acid to clean the machines, to clean the plates, and a filter every year, it works out to be, I think, $200 a year that you pay on top of the actual machine. And then you have water, you have a water machine that produces the best quality water, and you have that for life. So if you have a little look at this breakdown, this basically for me is like a bit of a no-brainer. And then the next step's really simple. The next step is, if you have any more questions and if you want to have a call with me, I do a one-on-one call with you. If you're like, yep, done, this is like a no-brainer, and you want to pay it outright, you basically just go on to the online, I can send you through the link, you go on to the website, you just pop in my distributor ID and you pay for it outright, and you get it in 2 weeks. Or if you wanted to go through a payment plan, which most people do, and it's done through a company called Hum90. So they do a lot of work with Enagic. So they work like pretty much hand in hand with Enagic. And you apply, it takes 10 minutes to apply. You get approved, and then I fill out paperwork for you and I send it into Enagic. And as soon as they talk, as soon as Enagic and Hum talk, Enagic activates your first year interest free. So the intention is that if you are going to go through the payment plan, a really good way of looking at it is you want to try and get it paid off in a year. So there's no interest on it. And you can use things like your tax return and stuff like that. And that takes 10 minutes to apply, and it's approved in 24 hours. So that's pretty much me, guys. That's my story, and that's the information I wanted to give you. And I'd love to open it up if anyone has any questions, to ask me any questions you have, and I'm going to do my best to answer it.